another night in downtown St. Louis, and it's another night of the Florida Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals. Game 2 of this 3-game set. Game 1 did not go well. You know the story by now with Mark Mulder from the get-go. He didn't have it, could not get through the second inning. From Dan Uggla, it was ugly all night long. And now tonight, the Cardinals turn to their right-hander, Jason Marquis. Here are his career numbers against the Florida Marlins, the team he faces this evening. I'm Joe Buck along with Al Roboski. Let's talk about last night first. I think it's fair to say that we don't know the end result of what we saw last night, but the bottom line is, for Mark Mulder, there are question marks surrounding that entire outing last night.
Well, he probably had another MRI. Dr. Paletta was advised that I do not feel right, and I have not felt right since his first rehab start. Obviously, he's saying I'm not pitching in pain, but there's not enough arm strength to help at the major league level. So I think in one sense it's good news that you don't keep on floating him out there and deflate the team if he's not good enough. So you move on, you turn the page, whether you pick up David Wells or you bring up Reyes. You know, Mark Mulder's probably through for the year.
Let's talk about tonight, Jason Marquis, and the numbers for Jason Marquis against only a couple of Florida Marlins. Only 2 of these 3, Cabrera and Jacobs, are in the lineup tonight. So while he struggled in his career against the Marlins team, because the Marlins are so young and none of these guys have ever faced Jason Marquis.
I've always felt that a lot of times when you're facing a guy for the first time, the advantage is with the pitcher. You know your strengths, you know what you want to do. Even if your strengths match up against the hitter's strengths, go with yours, the pitcher.
Well, we've seen a guy that's had a lot of strengths and has been showing them lately, Gary Bennett. He has been absolutely on fire and in the lineup tonight. When we come back, more on the Cardinal catching duo. Welcome you back to Busch Stadium and a conversation now about Yadier Molina and the red-hot Gary Bennett.
Well, everyone is so happy about Gary Bennett, the success he's had offensively, but everyone has to know this: Molina is the catcher. He's nearing the time of coming back to play. But right now, what a charge Gary Bennett has been for this ball club. Single-handedly, he's won 3 games over the weekend, and he had 2 hits again last night.
There are the back-to-back game-ending, game-winning hits for Gary Bennett against the Chicago Cubs on Saturday and the Grand Slam on Sunday. When we come back, Dan will have a look at the National League wild card race. If you haven't paid attention, it's crazy, and the Marlins are alive.
New Busch Stadium, Cardinals baseball just around the corner as the Florida Marlins look to make it 10 straight. One thing they have done, they have made the wild card very interesting in the National League. 6 teams now vying for the wild card. Of course, the Padres now lead it. They have jumped ahead of Cincinnati. The Phillies and the Reds a half game back. Probably the biggest surprise, the Florida Marlins a game and a half out. The Giants all of a sudden have found themselves in wild card contention as well, 2 games back. Chris Duncan working with Dave McKay prior to the game tonight, working on the defensive drills in the outfield. Cardinals baseball with Joe and Al is coming up next. 1 pitch. And it was a strike to Hanley Ramirez. We're underway. Jason Marquis trying to turn the beat around and do what Mark Mulder could not do last night and beat this red-hot and very much alive, Al Roboski, Florida Marlin team. They are young, they are having fun, and they have reeled off 9 in a row. 9 in a row. Their second 9-game winning streak. And they got off to a horrendous start. Looks like our home plate umpire, Kerwin Dantley, has already been injured. Had something in his eye. Kerwin is kind enough to allow us the chance to show you the Florida Marlins lineup. Joe Girardi is back. We heard from him with Mike Shannon during our pregame show, and here it is. Hanley Ramirez leads it off, then Uggla, who is absolutely red hot, hit a gargantuan home run last night. Cabrera, Willingham, Jacobs, Olivo does the catching. Hermida is in right, Amazaga is in center, and Ricky Nolasco, who was part of the Juan Pierre trade, is on the mound. The Advanced Auto Parts pitching matchup from the Cardinal side is Jason Marquis. Which Jason will show up? The good one that's amongst the league leaders with his 13 wins, or the bad one that's amongst the league leaders in his 12 losses? And that big ERA of 5.77. Little broken bat, flare into center, an 0-2 pitch, and Marquis gives up a base hit to Hanley Ramirez, product of the Red Sox organization, and he's on at first, adds to his 278 average, and Mulder is now seated in the dugout after his outing last night, and very much in jeopardy is the rest of his season. And then for a guy who was not inked to a long-term deal leading into this year and is a free agent to be, what must be going through his mind as he ponders what next year will hold?
Well, I commend him for at least being straightforward and being a team guy and saying, I can't help this team right now.
Fastball, foul ball, strike one. Take a look at who's in the Cardinals bullpen, and they will be able to add more names come the 1st of September. Sosa, Hancock, Flores, Looper, Izzy, Wainwright, Tyler Johnson.
Well, you wonder if Sosa or Hancock is available, and maybe even Tyler Johnson not available, as with Mulder's start ran through those 3 guys to finish the ball game.
Ramirez takes off. Bennett's throw is way too high, and the Marlins, who are putting the pedal down, have a single, a stolen base from Hanley Ramirez. Exactly what they hope for is an early lead to try to get out in front of this Cardinal bunch.
Well, he steals this off the pitcher. His 42nd steal of the year. And really, when you think of Marquis, the way he winds up, he gives a good running start, and that is the 5th steal in 6 attempts off of Marquis. He's not quick to the plate at all, and Ramirez is one of the speedier runners.
This guy at the plate was a Rule 5 pickup from the Diamondbacks organization, and they just flat out blew it. The Diamondbacks saw this kid last year, hit 21 home runs, drive in 87 RBIs, and somehow they let him escape.
I talked to the Arizona Diamondbacks advanced scout, and he said they are really kicking themselves. They should.
He was an all-star. Here's a bunt. Barehanded pickup by Rowland. Out at first as Pujols keeps his foot on the bag. And over at third is Ramirez, 1 out. What a play that was for the first out of the night.
Unbelievable at both ends. That was not an easy play for Scott Rowland as he comes in. Kind of pops it up. That kind of deceives you. Think about it. But there you see the bare hand almost reaching between his legs and behind to pick up the ball. And Albert doing everything he can to stretch his body, stay on the bag, but to lay prone after receiving it as the throw was a bit wide. And that was just a neat play on both ends, and hopefully that will help out Marquis. Runner does advance to third.
Ramirez is there with 1 out. The Cardinal infield is back up the middle, pinched in on the corners. And Cabrera has put the Marlins on top. Easy ground ball to short. 2 out in the inning, and 1-0 Marlins. 6-3 on the RBI ground out for Cabrera, who's now up to 98 RBIs, and Hanley Ramirez made that run happen. We go around the horn. It's brought to you by Auto Tire. Duncan is back in left tonight, Encarnacion in center, and Preston Wilson in right. Another night on the bench for Jim Edmonds. Rowland, Miles, Belliard, and Pujols, with Bennett doing the catching for Jason Marquis. 2 out. Willingham takes a strike over the outside corner.
Joe, one of the really good things about this young Marlins team is they've been breaking out of the gate. They've scored a high percentage of their runs of late in the first and second innings.
The base is empty. That's down and away from Marquis. Willingham is the left fielder, and he has 20 home runs.
Well, they're the only team in the National League history to have 2 rookies have 20 home runs or more. When it's all said and done, they'll have 3.
To third, Rowland has to back up, and it just eats him alive. Willingham will be content with a 2-out single. One of those in-between hops. Rowland laid back, couldn't make the play, and the top of the first inning continues for Mike Jacobs.
Joe, you said it best. When you back up and allow a ball to play you, most of the time you're caught in between. If you're aggressive and go forward, you can dictate which hop, try and get that short hop. But when you back up, then you're at the mercy of whatever hop comes your way, and it is an error on Scott Rowland, his 11th of the year.
Here's Jacobs, who had 100 at-bats last year for the Mets. Hit .310, 11 home runs, 23 RBIs. And he is approaching 20 home runs on the year, has 17. Takes a strike. Part of the deal for Carlos Delgado. And Mets got a little older, got the veteran presence over at first base. And Delgado, you know what he's done this year. Part of the best team in the National League, the Mets. And the Marlins got a little younger and got some talent in the meantime. There's a strike, and it's 0-2. It is amazing that for the fire sale, really third time around, this Marlins team somehow is able to restock. Somebody's doing a great job scouting other organizations, because they don't miss when they make deals.
I'm telling you what, you're absolutely right. But also look at how productive their own farm system has been. Scott Olson last night, you know, there's a byproduct of that. And we'll talk about tonight's starter is one of those deals that you talked about. An 11-game winner, and he was one of 3 good pitchers that the Marlins picked up for Juan Pierre.
The Juan Pierre experiment may be a 1-year rental for the Cubs, and they gave up 3 pitchers to get him.
Cubs looking for pitching now. They are kicking themselves about this. Then tomorrow's night start. Oh, that's right. He was a product of the Cubs farm system too.
There's a pitch down and away, 2-2. Yeah, his name is pretty good.
Kind of unusual. Dontrell, something like that.
Dontrell Willis, who was in the Clement deal years ago.
There he is, tonight's starter, and boy, is it fun to watch him pitch. Hope the Cardinal hitters have some fun against him.
2 balls, 2 strikes, a run home, runner at first, 2 out. Marquis misses, and it's a full count. It would be fair to say that the body language of Jason Marquis would tell you that he is frustrated pitching here in the first inning, giving up the run. An 0-2 pitch, a hit by Ramirez, a stolen base, a sacrifice, and an RBI groundout. And now a 3-2 pitch to Mike Jacobs. Runner goes, and a foul back. I'm not sure that people in Florida, southern Florida, are aware of what the Marlins are doing, but they come in 1 game under 500. As we said, having won 9 straight. But in the wild card, which is a pillow fight, the Marlins are only a game and a half out behind San Diego.
Think about it. One time this year, they were 20 games under 500. And no team, no major league teams ever won 10 straight after being 20 games under 500.
Here's a walk to Jacobs. Bring in Miguel Olivo, the catcher, with 2 on and 2 out. San Diego leads the wild card, a half game up on Philly, a half game up on Cincinnati. But then it's just ridiculous. Then it's Florida, San Francisco, Arizona, Houston, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Colorado. And those teams are all within 4 games of each other. Two on with 2 out. And Olivo grounds to Miles with a backhand. Has to make the long throw, and out thanks to Pujols. Couldn't get the out at second. Made the long throw. Pujols 2 good plays at first. 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Cardinals will be coming to bat. Take a look at the Cardinal lineup. Miles, then Duncan. Albert Pujols, Scott Rowland, Juan Encarnacion. Preston Wilson is in right. Ronnie Belliard at second. Gary Bennett does the catching for Jason Marquis. On the bench tonight, the Cardinals have Yadier Molina, who has basically been cleared to play with a tender elbow. Jose Vizcaíno, Jim Edmonds, Spezio, and So Taguchi. Take a look at the pitcher, Ricky Nolasco, and he is the Rico pitching matchup from the Marlins. And he has been a nice find for Florida after being plucked out of the Cubs organization.
Well, he started the season in the bullpen, made 11 appearances there, and then moved into the rotation. 11 wins, one of 3 rookies. One has 12 wins, Ricky has 11, and last night's starter Olson has 11. So it's just the 3rd time in Major League history 3 rookies have had 10 or more wins, and now they're 11 or more. This guy's got good stuff also, Joe. And
the Cardinals will attempt to figure him out. ERA of for .45 as he misses to Aaron Miles, and we're underway in the bottom of the first. Duncan and Pujols will follow. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, the one thing about him is, which doesn't bode well for him, is left-handed batters have hit .352 with 11 home runs against Nolasco.
Left-handed hitting Aaron Miles grounds out to second, and that's how the bottom of the first inning begins. Making the play with a step to his left. We go around the horn. It's brought to you by Auto Tire, and here you go. Willingham, Amizaga, Hermida in the outfield. Cabrera, Ramirez, Ugla, Mike Jacobs, Miguel Olivo, and Ricky Nolasco on the mound. There is Cabrera, who is one of the bright young stars still, even though he has a World Series ring from his 2003 season, that rookie year with the Marlins. Chris Duncan took a ball and now ripped one down toward the corner. Got out in front, 1-1.
What have you thought about Chris Duncan?
Love him. I love watching him play.
Adds a little spice to the lineup.
Yeah. A little action, a little energy. And you don't know, obviously, you're looking at a guy who's learning how to play the outfield, and that's tough for anybody to do, I would imagine, at the big league level, but he has hit brilliantly in this lineup as he strikes out for the second out here in the first inning to bring up Albert Pujols. But a guy who can plug the gap, a guy who can hit home runs, a rookie. I like watching him play. Here is a guy, Albert Pujols, who could very well win his first Rawlings Gold Glove here in 2006. Everybody around the country, Al, it seems like now the reputation is getting around that he's become a good first baseman. We have seen him play a good first base for more than just 2006.
Absolutely. I think 3 years ago, or maybe the first or second year over there, we started touting him as a future Gold Glove Award winner.
It's the Rawlings Gold Glove Award.
Yes. You know my friends at Rawlings?
You have plenty. You may have more friends at Rawlings than I do. But it's about time that they start calling it what it is. It's the Rolaids Relief. It's the Rawlings Gold Glove.
And I'm sure Ted Sizemore will appreciate you reminding everything.
0-2 on Albert with 2 out, nobody on, and that's down from Ricky Nolasco.
Nolasco's got a live fastball. He's got a very good curveball and a changeup.
That breaking ball is fouled by Pujols.
Kind of hung up a little bit. I said it on the recent road trip that Albert's elbow has really been bothering.
Then he hit the home run. I know. I watch your games. Can we get that out there? You and Dan were grilling me the other night like I don't watch your games.
Okay.
I watched the games, and then he hit a home run 1 second after you said it.
And what has he done since then?
Well, let's just see what he does right here. 2-2. And done a whole lot, but the Cubs were in town, and this was not the year that Albert was going to throw the team on his back and beat up on Cubs pitching.
And you know, the point is he just has altered his swing a little bit because of the ailing elbow.
Fly ball into right field, falling in a hurry, but there to make the catch is Hermida. We go into the second. Top of the second, Hermida, Amizaga, and Nolasco coming up 1-0. Marlins on top.
Midwest, where Cardinals fans come first.
Well, you'll see by this, the time clock, 4:08. Albert out taking some early hitting. And one of the things that's happened, because of the elbow, and hitters are kind of quirky, and they try to compensate, he feels like he can't get to the ball. So he's been moving a little bit more in his stance, and then he's rotating, and that's what's causing the pop-ups. What they're wanting to do is try and hit to the opposite field. But the reason he's hitting at 4:08 is to take extra treatments on his elbow.
He hit from 4:08 to 4:09, we saw on the clock there.
Working hard.
Working hard. Pitch up and away to Jeremy Hermida, and we are underway in the second. 1-0. Marlins on top, and an RBI ground out by Miguel Cabrera. The 1-0 is on the outside corner from Jason Marquis. Jason Marquis is such a huge piece to this puzzle. for the Cardinals. The Cardinal pitching has not been good in the rotation. It has not been consistent outside of Chris Carpenter. I would say you could make a strong case that either Suppan or lately Jeff Weaver have been two of the more impressive guys in the rotation. And then you've got the Mulder experiment, which has been put on the shelf for a while. And then Marquis. The pick by Pujols and getting his foot on the bag just in time as Marquis won out. So you've got Mulder on your left, Carpenter, who is pitching like a Cy Young Award winner, on your right. And then they're still waiting for somebody to step up and be a number 2 guy. There's a lot of reports out there that David Wells is on the trading block and available for teams to pick up. The Cardinals are interested, but Al, the price obviously has to be right if you're going to rent the left-hander for the remainder of the season.
Well, you know, here's one of the problems the Cardinals have. And it's been throughout the trading period. They really don't have a farm system that has any prospects that people want, particularly at the AA or AAA level. I just saw Ron Schuler, former big league pitcher and general manager of the White Sox.
And Encarnacion to his left, got there, and it's off the edge of his glove, and digging for 3 and making it easily is Amizaga with 1 out. Encarnacion got there and then missed it.
Well, he made a couple sensational diving catches on Sunday, but this one, I don't know if he could have taken another step and saved the dive, but it goes off the glove. He's almost trying to make the effort. It's out there. Felt like he needed to make the dive. And off the tip of the glove, and a 1-out triple.
Infield will come in with Nolasco at the plate. This guy swings the bat very well.
First big league hit, a home run.
And a good pitch from Marquis, down and away, strike 1.
But, you know, you have so many of the other players or teams, you know, the wild card teams, Arizona, Dodgers, you know, San Diego, all vying for David Wells. I'm sure they have more prospects that are available.
Here's a squeeze, and Bennett trying to get to the plate. Great effort for the out. Nolasco missed the bunch, and then the only question, like watching in slow motion, whether Bennett could get to the plate, and he may have injured himself.
You know, remember he had that rib cage strain earlier in the season, and you saw how he was stretched out and tried to dive for the plate, and all of a sudden it didn't go. You've got to get the butt down. Here he's trying to reach for it. They get the out there, but I think he might have restrained himself. Knowing Gary Bennett, he will try and stay in this game as much as possible. And this is a concern. Suicide squeeze, you don't make the butt down, and most of the time, you can see Bennett is hurt. He is as tough as nails, and he will stay in this game, but we'll see how long. Molina can play. You have to remember that.
First of all, it was a great pickup on the pitch.
Yes.
It was a short hop that he scooped cleanly with a backhand, and then he had to really use every bit of effort to get his body over to the other side of the plate and make the tag, which he did to get Amizaga.
See, so far off the plate, strains like that. Now he sees a squeeze and just does everything he can, hands, knees, crawling to get that glove in front of the plate. Does so. To get back to what Ron Schuler, former general manager, now working for Walt Jockey, just visited Springfield, and what kind of team we have there. Was not impressed at all with the Springfield team, where the Cardinals feel they have more prospects, or state they have more prospects there than any other place, or the low minor leagues. The one guy I guess the Red Sox are asking for is Colby Rasmus, a young player that was at young outfielder that was at Quad Cities and now has been moved up to Palm Beach. They're They think he's very talented, but he's several years away.
That's high for ball 3, 3-2.
Most clubs, when they trade, and remember Boston's, I mean, they're 6.5 games out in the wild card themselves, but they've got so many injuries right now. I guess they're feeling they're out of it.
And after having the pitcher set up with 2 strikes, Marquis walks him. Second walk of the night for Marquis, and we ask who's raising the bar. Our singular wireless text message question is, who should win the National League MVP award? Pujols, Ryan Howard, Carlos Beltran, Jose Reyes, or other? Text your vote to 42957. And let us know what you think. 1 on, 2 out. And that's a walk right there
that's ridiculous.
Is impossible to explain.
You'd rather have him hit a home run than to walk the pitcher.
We had Nolasco set up after the failed suicide squeeze bunt. 2 strikes and then let him get away. And now Hanley Ramirez, who's hit 12 home runs, hitting .279 and has scored the 1 run of the night, waits for a 1-0 pitch. That's on the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. I learned a long time ago that you never guess what an injury is from the booth. But watching the initial 5 or 6 throws back from Bennett to the mound, it doesn't look like he feels all that great. There's a little fly ball into right field. Nolasco will turn and be forced to go to third. Down to second is Ramirez. And it's a double for Hanley Ramirez. Ricky Nolasco. Somebody said, maybe one of the fans down the right field line, you have to go to third. They have no shot of getting you out.
He rounded the bag before he looked at third, and he was headed that direction. But maybe the best thing is that you've got Nolasco ahead of Ramirez.
2 outs in the inning, but now you've got the all-star, Dan Uggla, who dropped down a bunt his first time up.
They play small ball, and we saw that bunt. We saw a squeeze play already in the first and second innings.
Strike 1. Now Bennett, for good measure, in the second inning, gets a foul tip. Oh, and 1 the count, second and third, 2 out. Marlins already have 3 hits and have been handed 2 walks. Uggla hitting .296 overall, has 21 home runs and 79 RBIs.
His home run last night here at Busch was the longest recorded this year.
Into center field, and Encarnacion is there to end the inning. Hard hit, but right at the Cardinals center fielder. No runs, 2 extra base hits in the inning. Roland coming up for the Cardinals, who trail by 1. Bottom of the second here in St. Louis, 1-0. The Marlins on top. Cardinals will have the 4, 5, and 6 hitters, Roland, Encarnacion, and Wilson. So Scott is first up, and he will step to the plate, hitting .307. 19 home runs, 79 RBIs. Cardinal fans, it's back, and it's a first. The inaugural Cardinals campout in this park, presented by Bass Pro Shops. A limited number of Cardinal fans will have the opportunity to spend the night on the field September 8th. Cost is $175 for adults age 16 and over, $75 for children 15 and under. And children age 3 and under are free. A portion of the proceeds benefit Camp Coca-Cola, which is a great project. Something you should check out if you haven't. There's a fly ball into center for Amazaga. 1 out. September 8th, Cardinals and Diamondbacks, 8:40 p.m. And you watch the game on the video board. Games in the family pavilion with Fred Bird and Team Fred Bird. And all fans receive souvenir courtesy of Bass Pro Shops and Tracker. 345-9000 for more info, or log on stlcardinals.com. Here's Encarnacion. And there's a fly ball into center field. Amazaga back at the track, at the wall. 2 out.
Marlins really don't have a true center fielder, and they don't want to really trust Abercrombie. And Amazaga he's a utility infielder who's made the first 2 starts here.
Did a nice job for a guy who's not used to it. He took his eye off the ball for a moment, figured out where he was in relation to the warning track and wall, and then he motioned out to his left fielder Willingham, saying, I had a tough time seeing the ball. Here's Preston Wilson. He's been hitting leadoff, and now he is down in the number 6 spot, takes a strike. There was a free pitch for Nolasco, who has thrown 3 pitches in the inning and has 2 outs and a strike.
Pitching to contact.
Slider on the corner for strike 2.
One, they have really good young arms, power guys, but they throw a lot of strikes. Get ahead in the count, and then they kind of maybe try to execute their pitches. Bennett does have a helmet on, but he's going back down, so let's see. There's Molina just in case, but I was watching Molina. He threw yesterday, reported that he felt better today, and he was swinging the bat well in batting practice. Emergency catcher pretty much would be Spezio.
That is on the corner. The inning is over, and Nolasco looks like he'll be a handful tonight. Second strikeout for the Florida right-hander. Third inning rolls in. Cabrera, Willingham, and Jacobs coming up 1-0 Florida. History as Yadier Molina takes over behind the plate for Gary Bennett. Hopefully Gary's all right. What is it? What is it? In just 57 minutes, the Giants beat the Dodgers 1-0 back in 1918. That's when this was a game. I don't know what that means. How can he play a game in 57 minutes?
Real quick.
My gosh. 2 outs an inning.
1-0. But, you know, we said last night was Lou Brock broke the stolen base record. 892.
Yeah.
Well, that was the night that it was getaway night to go to New York. So this would be the anniversary of the 25-inning game in New York.
Was it? I want to say Mumphrey. That's not right. Who?
No, it was Bake McBride.
That's right.
Scored the final run. Kenny Reitz hit a home run in the 9th inning to tie it up, and then there was no scoring in the game for either side until the 25th inning, and it was a wild pickoff throw at first base that he circled the bases. Claudio Steen threw 9 1/3 shutout innings in relief and got a no decision.
First pitch a strike to Miguel Cabrera.
Sonny Siebert of St. Louis and got the win.
That's the beauty of this game, Al. There is no clock.
Well, the beauty of that one was Bowie Kuhn was sitting there in the front row and was trapped and couldn't leave. He had to sit out the entire game.
Here's an 0-2. Down and in. So Molina takes over, and we will get word on the specific injury that was suffered by Gary Bennett.
Strained lower back.
Lower back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cabrera leading off, 3rd inning, and not close. 2-2. Marquis gave up 1 hit to lead it off by Ramirez. A stolen base, a bunt, an RBI ground out. He's allowed 4 hits total. Foul back, evidently on that chopper, the 3rd that Willingham hit. They gave Roland an error.
Yes, they did.
I already had him down for a hit, so just a total of 3 hits, not 4. Cabrera has the only RBI, and he has a 2-2 count.
And Cabrera, that's 98 RBIs. Unbelievable. Everybody knows he's a star, but very little protection. And everybody was worried about his attitude playing on this team. He's been a member, a starter with the championship teams, but it's been the opposite. He has really taken a leadership role, and he's finally playing with people his age.
87-mile-an-hour 3-2 pitch. It's fouled back. Willingham will follow, and then Mike Jacobs. Game 2 of this 3-game set, as Al mentioned earlier, it will be Dontrelle Willis tomorrow night against Jeff Suppan, who's been very good coming off that victory over Chicago. That's foul.
Cabrera has already set a record for RBIs in the month of August. His RBI tonight adds to it with 32.
Another 3-2 pitch for Marquis. Hits Cabrera. And he is in some pain.
Yep. Got him in the hand, and you know, looks like he's going to first base, but or the elbow?
Might have been the left elbow.
So Girardi firing out of there because he knows how valuable Cabrera is. 13th batter that Marquis has hit. First time in the sequence he tried to go in, and he got in.
Well, you look at the top teams in the wild card race, and thankfully it appears Cabrera's okay. The ball came up and hit him in the back of the left elbow. And there is no reason why the Florida Marlins, listen to it, with their talent and their lineup top to bottom, can't win the wild card.
I'm telling you one thing, they can win it, but they could be a handful with their pitching. You know, Borowski's done an outstanding job. He has 31 saves. They have some guys that can bridge the gap from the starters to Borowski.
So let's say this, the job that's being done, not just in the minor league system for the Marlins to get these kids ready to tackle big league baseball, and the trades that are being made and the scouting that's going on with other organizations, but here at the big league level from Joe Girardi and that entire coaching staff, the job that they're doing teaching these guys how to play at this level on the fly, as another base hit goes into center off the bat of Willingham. Cabrera holds at second. There's a reason why people believe Girardi could end up being the National League Manager of the Year, and maybe a one-time only deal for Girardi in guiding the Florida Marlins, because there are plenty of reports that Girardi and their owner, Jeffrey Loria, do not get along.
Well, I think Mr. Loria has toned down things a little bit and is diffusing that because he realizes that, one, he was wrong by telling his manager to go out and argue balls and strikes and, you know, kind of making a scene with the home plate umpire and Joe telling him to sit down. But who are you going to replace and get a better manager than Girardi?
2 on with nobody out. Marquis in a ton of trouble and hits the inside corner to Mike Jacobs, who walked his first time.
And think about this, Joe, with the job that Girardi has done in South Florida and having a very talented young team, he's going to be in a good position for many years. You don't know what all the different options and all the little things that the Cubs have to do, and he would have to be under the pressure to win immediately in Chicago. He's probably better off to stay with Florida.
1 ball, 1 strike on Jacobs. Still, there's got to be some lure for a guy like Girardi to try to go to Chicago and be the guy.
Why not? Sit about 2 or 3, 4 years down in Florida, gain more experience, and always be the guy that they want, and eventually they can get him down the road.
Here comes a 1-1 pitch to Jacobs. Fly ball into center, should be handled by Encarnacion. One out. It's a big out as the runners hold at first and second. Olivo will come up, and we tell you that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the St. Louis Cardinals LLC and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals LLC. Two on, one out. Here's Olivo. He's hit 14 home runs, hitting .277.
He's been a pleasant surprise.
There's a strike over the inside corner.
Hit over 400 in June. Tops in the National League and second in the major leagues, and he's the second Marlin ever to hit over 400 a month. The other ones are Preston Wilson. He hit 431 in July of '99 for the Marlins.
One ball, one strike on Olivo. Grounded out to short his first time up. A good play from Miles and Pujols to connect to get the out and end the inning. And that hits Olivo. Second hit batsman of the inning. And Tony La Russa, who was not in a great mood at the start of the night because of the questions he is having to answer about slam at the phone down in the dugout, because of the questions he's having to answer about Mulder and the way that they played last night, coming up with just a one run. Now sees his pitcher Marquis, who has not only walked Nolasco, the opposing pitcher, in the second after picking up 2 strikes, but he's hit 2 batters here in the third inning. So Tony La Russa sends Dave Duncan out to try to A, make it look like we're not trying to hit anybody, and B, figure out a way to get Marquis back into the strike zone.
You know, I mean, Tony, it all stems with pitching. If you get good pitching, Suppan was brilliant, Carpenter was Carpenter in the first 2 games of the Cup Series. Weaver was good enough, didn't get the decision, but kept them in the game where they finally did and actually blew a big lead. But had good defense behind him. You know, the starting pitching sets a tone, and even though it's a 1-0 game, they are really threatening to break it open every inning.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Jeremy Hermida hits it into left field. Well hit. Duncan back in front of the track, makes the catch. Tagging and scoring is Cabrera. It's 2-0.
He reached on a hit batsman, and the second hit batsman of the area pushed him to third for the sacrifice fly to add to the 1-0 lead.
It's a 2-zip, and Marquis would be thrilled to get out of this inning only down by 2. He has really, Cabrera has been in pain since the moment he was hit behind the left elbow.
He's only missed 1 game this year, Cabrera.
Let me throw a name out at you.
Yes.
For the rotation. How about Hancock?
Well, Dan and I talked a little bit about that. You know, when we saw Josh pitch a brilliant game against the Cardinals a few years ago when he was with Cincinnati. You know, Dan was discussing with me off the air yesterday about the possibility of bringing up Reyes, putting him in fulfilling the position of Wainwright, send Wainwright down, and he was thinking was, oh, he can get about 3 starts and see where he is. And I said, you can't do that. The minor league seasons are over.
There's a pitch inside, 1 ball, 1 strike, and the training staff will fly ice. It's going to be tough to play with that. But Cabrera's that good, he can make that work. 1 ball, 1 strike on Amizaga, who has tripled and then was out at the plate on the failed suicide squeeze attempt by Nolasco back in the second. Got base runners all over the place. Cardinals haven't had one yet. And now Molina is summoned to the mound by Jason Marquis. Runners on at first and second, 2 out, a run is home, and a 2-0 lead for the Marlins.
You know, Dan, Joe, excuse me, we talk so much about the artificial deadline now of August 31st, where you set your playoff roster. You know, the most important thing is one, you have to have, you know, there's a kind of a little asterisk attached to it, where if somebody's hurt and you can replace somebody that's on your 40-man roster with that individual, but they have to be in your organization by the 31st of August to be eligible for your postseason. We may say, like, maybe the logical thing would be to put Mulder on the disabled list between now and tomorrow, and then you could bring up a position player, because you never want to go into the roster probably with 12 pitchers. Whatever your configuration is, the amount of pitchers on midnight of the 31st is how many pitchers, not necessarily the ones, but it's how many pitchers you can have on your postseason roster. And so we carry 12 pitchers right now. We would only probably have 11 on the postseason roster. That's why a David Wells trade or something like that, you would want to have that player in your organization before. But yet the Cardinals are also in a situation, they may not get the guy in time for your postseason roster, but you may need extra insurance to get to postseason, but then that guy's not available.
3 balls, 2 strikes, and Amizaga 2 on, 2 out. And Marquis has already thrown 60 pitches, strikes out Amizaga looking to end the inning. Got to take that off, Miguel. Time to go play defense. 2-0 Marlins.
Over at third base, so with the hit by pitch behind the left elbow,
Cabrera can't continue. We move into the bottom of the 3rd inning. 2-0 Marlins. Breaking ball is on the inside corner to Belliard, whose knees were buckling, thinking maybe they might pay us back for 2 hit batsmen, and it was a strike. And the numbers for Belliard, who has hit much better over the past week or so, and he will add to it with the first Cardinal hit of the night. Pitch was up, Belliard jumped on it, and he is aboard to start the bottom of the 3rd.
He's throwing a couple hanging breaking balls, and this time Belliard adjusts to it. See him start to pull the trigger, but holds his hands back, and then he catches that ball that's up and on the inner half and hits a solid single to left.
There's Yadier Molina. First time we've seen Yadier in a while. And his replacement, Gary Bennett, was brilliant. The job he did handling the pitching staff, and then obviously with a bat. Mr. 9th inning hero, as Molina pops it into right center field, and it will slice to the right fielder, Hermida. 1 on, 1 out. I don't know of anybody in the Cardinal lineup who goes after the first pitch more than Yadier Molina. And he is the first out with Marquis coming up. Belliard at first.
Another reason why you throw first pitch strikes is there's very few hits. If you would document it over the course of the year, very few hits are recorded on the first pitch. A lot of swing and misses, a lot of foul balls.
And then there are some hitters who fall into the category of not wanting to get to 2 strikes because they don't want to strike out. So if they see a pitch that's decent, they'll take a hack. 1-0. Marquis very late with that cut. 1 ball, 1 strike on Jason, who is hitting 174. It's been a down year for him swinging the bat too. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's done a decent job of throwing first pitch strikes, 12 of 17, but a lot of pitches after the first pitch strike.
Ground ball, base hit through the right side. Belliard will turn and go to 3rd. The throw is way late. Cut off, and it's 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Marquis gets his 13th hit of the season.
He caught an off-speed pitch and made the adjustment, and this just made contact. Belliard has to hurdle over it, and Media, who's really probably the most disappointing player for the Marlins, he kind of took it for granted that he wouldn't come. He came up, had a big crow hop in there and a little extra step before he threw the ball back in. For the first 2 hits of the night. Now the Cardinals tied a Major League record last night and stranding 0 runners. They have not stranded a runner yet this game. This is the only inning they've had a base runner.
So nobody has ever stranded less than 0.
Nobody has ever stranded less. That's pretty good, isn't it, Joe?
That's outstanding. Runners at the corners, 1 out. It's up to Miles to make this situation change the score. It's 2-0 Marlins. Aaron grounded out to second on the first pitch, back in the first inning. Miles is driven in 25. And a fly ball down the left field line. Belliard will tag up. Will he test? He will. Here's the throw to the plate. Belliard is safe, and it's 2-1.
Good call. Now the reason why you slide, because if he runs in standing up, he probably runs into the tag like Lou Brock in 1968 against the Detroit Tigers. You heard that story, didn't you? Not that deep, but anytime a fly ball's about 300 feet, you've got a better than even chance. And you saw his foot gets ahead. Good play, but kind of a rainbow throw, and his foot got to the home plate just ahead of the tag.
Clearly safe, and the right call made by Kerwin Danley, the home plate umpire. Now Duncan, with a tying run at second and 2 out, takes a ball. Willingham, when he came up to throw, he was maybe, I don't know, 100 feet behind third base.
You know, he's a catcher by trade.
Pickoff throw to second, and Marquis gets back.
But because of Willingham's live bat, they started toying with the idea in spring training of putting him in the outfield, and now he catches very, very little and is the everyday left fielder.
Scared me. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at second, 2 out. Duncan is driven in 29. Out of the way of the fastball, 2-1. Chris was the Co-National League Player of the Week most recently, and he has had some streaks. Or as a rookie, I don't know that he gets the credit he deserves for doing what he's doing.
Second in the National League with that .328 batting average amongst rookies.
Breaks his bat, grounds 1 to Ugla. Low throw, but out, and the inning is over. The Cardinals get their first run of the night. Leadoff hit by Belliard, scored on a sac fly by Aaron Miles on this throw by Willingham. 2-1 Florida after 3. Little U City action, the loop. And some young fans who are hoping that the Cardinals can crank out their 70th win of the year. They're 69 and 61, and at the start of the night, 3.5 games up on Cincinnati, and the Reds have hit the skids out on the West Coast. Losing to the Dodgers last night, 6-5. They lost the first 2 games of that series. Here's a foul. Out of play off to the right. Strike 1 on Ricky Nolasco, the pitcher. They went 16 innings in that game last night.
Yeah, and then I think after this LA series, they have San Diego.
San Diego 3 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West, but leading the wild card race.
And they have a 3-1 lead over Arizona, with the Padres batting in the top of the ninth.
Here's an 0-2 to Nolasco, up and away. Philadelphia is a half game out in the wild card after trading Bobby Abreu, and they're leading 4-1 in the 9th inning in Washington.
How about these Florida Marlins? The last week of the season, they played 3 games at home against Cincinnati and 3 against Philadelphia at home.
Well, the one team that's been a ton of trouble for the Phillies over the past 5 years has been Florida.
And the Phillies in September have 9 games with the Fish.
They don't want to hear that. Still 1-2 on Nolasco.
And 6 of them are in South Florida.
It's amazing that Philadelphia, which pretty much cashed it in by trading Bobby Abreu and Corey Lytle to the Yankees, have done nothing but play their best baseball of the season since unloading those 2 veterans. And along the way, they've lost Aaron Rowan for the rest of the year with a broken ankle. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Boy, this happened in his last at bat. Had 2 quick strikes on him, and Marquis ended up walking Nolasco, and now it's a full count. Took a strike, fastball right down the middle, and 2nd strikeout in a row for Marquis. Kids, Sunday, September 3rd. It's Shut, Run the Bases Day here at the park. Bring the family down and watch the Cardinals take on the Pirates this Sunday. After the game, the kids get to run the bases. For tickets or more information, call 314-345-9000. Here is Hanley Ramirez.
This guy is impressive.
It's a great swing at the ball as he chops it foul. Strike 1.
Said earlier, he's part of the Boston organization. Another one of those, you talk about the scouting department, what they've done for the Marlins when they have these fire sales and win a world championship, then they start dismantling the club, and then they, 3 times they've done it, won 2 championships, almost like 2 500+ seasons of world champions.
Here's a little flare into right center field. It'll drop for a hit. Ramirez is going to try and test Encarnacion, and he'll make it. Hanley Ramirez hustling right out of the box. Tested Encarnacion, and it turns what could have been a single into a double.
32 doubles, but he has that great speed. He's got 42 steals on the year, so as soon as he sees an outfielder go left or right, ball right at him, he'll run hard out of the box, and if he comes up firing, he'll stop at first. But if he has to go left or right, he has the speed to where he can get in and get into scoring position. And with 1 out, that's key.
You have to keep an eye on him out at second base, too. There's a pitch outside off the corner to Dan Uggla, who was lined to center and dropped down a bunt.
Kind of plays small ball with Joe Girardi, and he kind of gets these guys to buy into the team concept, do a lot of little things, but they play at a high energy. Took him a while to buy into his disciplinarian rules, but it's paying off now.
There's a history to that as the strike hits the outside corner. When Joe Girardi, who grew up as a Cub, born in Peoria, with the Chicago Cubs, he played for Don Zimmer. Don Zimmer in 1996 goes to the Yankees as the bench coach for Joe Torre. They bring Joe Girardi along to try to groom Jorge Posada, and it was players like Girardi and some of the other National Leaguers they brought in over there, mainly Joe Torre, that at '96 Yankee team was a small ball type team. It wasn't the Bronx Bombers. It was get them on, get them over, get them in. And Zimmer and Girardi and Torre were the 3 guys, I think, mainly in charge of changing the attitude of a team that for decades was just laying around waiting for the 3-run home run. 2 balls and a strike on Uggla with Hanley Ramirez at second and 1 out.
Well, they can't let him get a good jump. He's one of the leaders with steals, so Belliard plays right there to hold him close. But I doubt that any of our outfield arms would be able to throw out Ramirez on a ball hit to the outfield. So it's you keep him close, but he'll come into the bag trying to narrow that lead, make the speedy runner feel. But the outfield is so deep they can't stop him.
Boy, Ugla gets a good swing. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Now the reason why you probably do it because he's such an aggressive hitter, and feel that if he's not going to hit too many balls to the opposite field, he's going to pull the ball more often. Straight away in the outfield. Shade a little bit to left.
3-2 pitch now is fouled off to the right. Marquis will be a free agent at the end of the year. Suppan will be, Mulder will be, Weaver will be. Carpenter will not be.
One of the things you may need to do is to tear up Carpenter's contract and add to it. I think next year is his last year.
Another walk by Marquis to put 2 on with 1 out. It's the 3rd walk of the night. Are you ready to make the calls yourself as an amateur or professional umpire? For the first time this November, Major League Baseball is offering 2 sessions of umpiring camps in Compton, California. You can learn from Major League umpires. For more information, go to www.mlbuc.com. Here is Wes Helms, who takes over the spot formerly held by Miguel Cabrera, who was hit behind the left elbow by a Marquis pitch in the 3rd. First at bat for Helms, and a ground ball base hit into left. Duncan will have no shot at throwing out Ramirez. It's cut off by Rowland. It's 3-1 Florida. Whether it's Cabrera or Wes Helms, it's another hit and another run for the Marlins, who again lead by 2.
Wow. You know, Belliard is trying to play back there, trying to cut down the lead. But as I said, there's no way any of the Cardinals outfielders are going to be able to throw out Ramirez with his speed. Duncan does a good job by hitting the cutoff man low enough to where Ramirez scores, but the other 2 runners can't advance. They can only go from, first to second. Helms had 3 hits last night's game when he played first base.
Just as an athlete, Ramirez is impressive to watch. Rounding third base and scoring without a play. Here's ball 1 down and away to Josh Willingham. 3-1 with 2 on and 1 out, and Marquis has been in trouble all night. Ooh. 1-1. Marlins have stranded 6.
Joe, I'm just going to ask this as an objective question. Has Marquis improved since he's been here?
Well, I'll leave it out there. I would say this: there are flashes, and I think the frustrating part of Marquis is all of the talent that he has is the same talent that you saw when he was with the Atlanta Braves. And while he's had some seasons where he's put together some great runs, last year he had a terrific stretch, and he's even had one this year. But the consistency of every time taking the ball every 5th day, you just do not see that. Jason.
I mean, it's almost like, he's strong as an ox. He's an exceptional athlete. He can help himself fielding. Obviously, he's a good hitter. But he just keeps on throwing pitches and pitches and pitches. And I take away the 2 games where he, that he gave up 12 runs, in 2 starts.
Full count.
But it's like he just, he just doesn't know how to to throw to contact to get the ball on the ground. It's just every pitch is like, as you said, you know, it ends up, if he's 0-2, it's going to end up 2-2 or 3-2.
There is the pitch speed differential, and overall he's thrown 84 pitches and has only 1 out recorded in the 4th inning. Runners go, and a ground ball. Nice play by Miles. Runners advance for 2nd and 3rd, 2 out. All kinds of movement on the bases, and Miles had to make that play spinning to his right, and he gets Willingham for the 2nd out of the inning.
Miles done a nice job filling in for David Eckstein, who is really improving. That's still probably several days away.
Here's Jacobs, and with runners on at 2nd and 3rd, 2 out in the inning. This is, get the feeling, a big at bat here in the middle innings. Mike has walked and flied to center. Strike 1. Oh, and 1 the count. Runners on at 2nd and 3rd, 2 out. Jacobs hitting .270. Fights it off, fouls it off. 0-2.
You know, Molina. You know, we've seen at times this year how many times Molina goes to the mound and talks to a pitcher. I found out what that's all about. One of the strengths of Dave Duncan is he will formulate a game plan. He'll take a pitcher's strengths, and he said, this is how you get hitters out. Molina studies that. You know, if the pitcher's in there with the catcher and Dave Duncan, both catchers.
That's out of play.
And many times, you know, when Molina goes out there, he'll say, hey, now this is what we said, how to get a guy out. I just want to remind you about that. Now, it's ultimately the pitcher's decision, but it's something that it's not that he's necessarily, but Molina is an extension of Dave Duncan, is reminding the pitcher, this is what we talked about, this is how you're doing it, and you don't want to do it. Now, I just want you to be aware of it.
Another foul by Jacobs. It's still 0-2. Just to answer your question, and I think the honest answer would be yes. Marquis has gotten better since he came to the Cardinals, because he was yo-yoing between the rotation, the bullpen, AAA Richmond for the Braves. I think he's progressed to a certain point, but I think even Jason would tell you the consistency which any big league athlete in any sport is looking for is not there. So I think he has improved since he's been here. That next step, I don't think has been taken.
All right, let me break it down even more. How about has he improved from last year?
I would say about the same.
Remember, he was like about 8-2 down the stretch.
The 0-2. Jacobs hits it down the right field line. It is a foul ball. Still 0-2. Jacobs is waiting for a mistake, and he almost knocked one out of the park.
Look at down and in, and just right in the wheelhouse, but he pulls it foul. It's 0-2. That's a perfect time if you're going to get in, get it way in. But he has hit 2 men. Stands way off the plate.
Ball 1. So important for Marquis to get the out here and keep it a 2-run game. The Cardinals have only managed 2 hits to this point against Nolasco after being shut down last night by Olson.
Scored 3. They stranded 6. And they got 2 more out there.
And a line drive into right field is a hit. 1 run scores. Here comes the other. The throw not made. It's 2 more runs, and it's 5-1 Florida here in the 4th inning. We go pitch by pitch. It's brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers.
Well, goes out there, off-speed pitch. He gets ahead in the count. Then a fastball. It's up over the middle of the plate. 0-2. Now a progression of fouling off pitches, breaking ball. And he's got the foul ball. His cutter out there. Now he's down and in, and then down right over the middle of the plate for the base hit.
And a ball misses to Miguel Olivo, who's been hit by a pitch and grounded out. 5 runs on 7 hits through 3 2/3.
2 hit batsmen and 3 walks.
2-0.
There's been 2 times that I can think of this year that when a catcher's gone out there and he's out there trying to help his pitcher, where Marquis has absolutely walked away from him, and was almost reluctant to help, to go out there now.
Molina and Marquis have had a tough time getting together on signs this entire inning. The game was started by Gary Bennett. He strained his lower back on a play at the plate back in the 2nd, so Molina took over. And Olivo lined one into center. That is caught by Encarnacion on a dive to end the inning. We go into the bottom of the 4th inning. Cardinals need to get to work. They will have Pujols rolling and Encarnacion come up. 5-1 Marlins. On 92.3 WIL, or go to foxsports.com, keyword Midwest.
Come on, you listen to Cornbread all the time, don't you?
I've been on the air with Cornbread. I think.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
Part of the order for the Cardinals. Here in the 4th inning, down by 4. The ball misses low from Ricky Nolasco. Pujols rolling and Encarnacion for the Cards. That's ball 2. Philadelphia ended up winning at Washington 5-1, and San Diego is on their way to a win at Arizona 4-1. So the top 2 spots should remain unchanged in the wild card race. San Diego a half game up on Philly. Cincinnati plays later at LA. They're a half game out at the start. Got the number 5 painted on his face. With Pujols at the plate, the pop-up might be playable. Foul territory and tough play. No catch. Jacobs couldn't haul it in. The count's 2-2.
Now you're playing around that tarp area or something like this, and now it goes off the glove. He had plenty of glove. It hit him kind of in the thumb area. Here's our number 5 looking up. He thinks he's got the play. Oh, but it's several feet away. Hey, you think you can, you got a chance.
Hey. First start is good beginning is believing in yourself.
Right.
Here's a fly ball into right center field. Back at the track, at the wall, 1 out. Pujols made a bid for number 39. Came up short, 1 out. Not only believing in himself was the kid on the foul ball, but believing in his idol, Albert Pujols, on that fly ball into right center. What happened? He couldn't see. The people were standing up in front of him.
Oh, that's great.
Breaking ball from Nolasco's a strike to Roland, who fly to center his first time up.
Nolasco was in Double-A a year ago.
1 ball, 1 strike.
He was the pitcher of the year. He was 14-5. 14-3, excuse me, 2.89 ERA.
Off the end of the bat foul. 1-2. And I guarantee you, because he doesn't throw 97, they probably said, yeah, well, 14 wins at Double-A, and talking about the Cubs, we can trade him for Juan Pierre. Why not throw 2 more pitchers in to get Juan Pierre and he's come up. And
okay, let's look at Mitre. Is 1-4, but an ERA at 4.8. He's very serviceable. 14 appearances, 7 starts. They got another left-hander who's in their bullpen, Pinto, 357 in 12 games, 1 save out of the bullpen. And then this kid has already won 11 games, 11-8 with a 4.45. 30th appearance, 19th start.
And to be fair with Juan Pierre, is one of the most likable players you'll ever come across, and is a very honest guy about assessing his own year. The first half of the year, he didn't do what he was supposed to do and was a big disappointment in the leadoff spot for Dusty Baker. He has since picked it up, but it comes a little late. Here's a ground ball fair past third. Scott Rowland will think about digging for second, try to make it there, and is in with a 1-out double. Ahead of the throw by Willingham, and the Cardinals have their first extra base hit of the night.
Scott Rowland leads the team. This is his 40th double, 9 away from tying his career high. And you know, he runs the bases the proper way, leaves the batter's box thinking too, and the Marlins played it well, but Scotty underneath the tag.
Here's Encarnacion.
Gotta pick up a run here.
Up and away, ball 1. Juan fly to center his first time. He has driven in 67. He's hitting .281 now.
17 home runs, or 2 away from tying his career high.
Cardinals are only down by 4, but for some reason it feels like a lot more.
Last night it could have been 40. I think when they got the 4 runs, just deflated this team with a.
There's a base hit into left field. Rowland had to hold. It's first and third with 1 out.
And more so, you have to score at least. I didn't mean on that bat of Encarnacion, but you got to at least pick up 1 run. Line drive, and so Scott had to hold. He wasn't sure to get over the head of the shortstop. Set up away, and the ball just slightly coming back a little bit. His fastball to the right-handers, a lot of times it'll tail into them. To the left-handers, it tails away from them. And he's got the very good curveball and changeup.
Here's Preston Wilson. Ricky Nolasco has been a nice find for the Marlins, but Cardinals cannot make him look like Tom Seaver here tonight. They have to go to work on him with first and third, 1 out, down by 4, and trying to snap this 9-game winning streak that the Marlins are enjoying. And that will help into left center field. Over the head of the left fielder and up against the wall. 2 runs are going to score. Preston Wilson delivers. And it's 5-3.
Now it doesn't feel like it's such a huge deficit.
Not anymore. 2 doubles in the inning with a base hit by Encarnacion in between them, and the Cardinals are now down by 2.
Got the ball. Let's see if it gets up a little bit. Up in the zone. It's being down and away. It kind of slides to the middle of the plate. 1 hops the wall, but it plugs the gap out in left center. Rowland will score from third, but Encarnacion, he was rounding third or approaching third, nearly at the bag where they were still picking up the ball. So Preston Wilson with a very appropriate and well-timed double.
Preston's eyes lit up when he saw that pitch come in belt high. And he's been playing a long time, knows what to do with those pitches. Plugs the gap in left center field, shot it over the head of Willingham. He's at second now, 1 out for Belliard, who has singled and scored a run tonight. All of a sudden, the Cardinals have the tying run at the plate.
You know, same thing applies. When I said Rowland was out at second with 1 out, I said you've got to get him home this inning. Now they still have to get Preston Wilson home with 1 out.
Shattered bat and a pop-up. Ugla settles underneath it. 2 down, and Molina's coming up. Yadier's second at bat, fly to right his first time up. When after the first pitch, his first time, he is driven in. And the total is not that bad for Yadier. Despite the .218 average, he's knocked home 42 runs. He's hit 5 home runs.
He's trying to drive the ball a little bit more.
Takes the ball.
He's got 21 2-out RBIs. He's third on the team with 24 doubles.
One 0. 2-0 with Marquis on deck. San Diego did end up winning their game at Arizona 4-1. Milwaukee and Houston scoreless in the 7th. Here's the 2-0 to Molina. Runner at second, 2 out. Hard hit off the glove of Helms to extend the inning. Helms kept it on the infield to save a run. And a rare infield hit for Yadier Molina.
You're right. You know, an infielder, when they can knock that ball down, they can save a run. And Jason Marquis is going to hit for himself. Still no activity in the bullpen, but once again, he's a good hitter. And with the bullpen having to throw 6+ innings last night, Tony desperately wanting more innings out of Marquis.
See if Jason can pick up his second hit of the night. He got his 13th of the year, his first time up. They don't hold against Molina at first. Preston Wilson over at third, and a high strike to Marquis. Didn't like the call. 0-1.
He didn't like it, but it didn't sound like the fans liked it either. Marquis 95 pitches and Nolasco 51.
Only in the 4th. Breaking ball misses, a ball and a strike. .52 pitches on the game, but 22nd pitch of this inning coming here for Nolasco. So he's been stretched out here in the 4th. 1-1. Strike 2. With the socks and the baggy pants on Marquis and the swing that he takes, he looks like an old-time slugger at the plate. He would love to just dump one in somewhere for a little old hit. Fastball misses. 2-2. Runners at the corners, 2 out, 2 runs home. Cardinals down 5-3. Marquis shoots one to the left side. That's a run. And it's 5-4 here in the 4th inning.
Make contact, good things can happen.
5th RBI of the year for Jason Marquis.
Two hits here. Ramirez, the shortstop, just kind of punched at it, put it in play, trying to protect and the shortstop tries to backhand it. It goes off his glove.
It's almost like a hit-and-run swing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's you know, it's kind of like the first one. Remember, he tried to make contact and just punched it through the right side, but people say that, you know, oh, an out's an out, but you put the ball in play, good things can happen.
Now Aaron Miles takes a ball up and away. Aaron has a sac fly and a ground out. Surprisingly, they swung way around to the right in the outfield for Miles.
Look at that gap out in left center.
1-0 pitch from Nolasco. 2-0 with Duncan on deck.
All that space out there.
Cardinals lead runner is Yadier Molina at second. Miles would like to make him run. To Ramirez, off his glove into center. Molina will score. It's a tie game.
Molina out there, and ball hit in front, kind of put it out there, but Ramirez, Hanley is going to be an outstanding player, but that's a 20th error of the season for him. Now he'll make some outstanding plays, but then he'll all of a sudden he'll show you why he's a rookie and has that error total of 20.
Line score is identical for each side except at the end left on base. 5, 7, and 1. 5 runs, 7 hits, 1 error each side, and now Duncan could give the Cardinals their first lead of the night. Over at third is Marquis. At first is Miles. Chris has 29 RBIs and 14 home runs. On the inside corner, strike one.
So this is Duncan's only his 62nd game and his 189th at bat. He's got 14 home runs. He's averaging a home run every 13.3 at bats.
Into center. Amazaga drifts back for it to end the inning. But the Cardinals get up off the deck, come up with 4 runs in the frame, 4 in the 4th, into the 5th, 5-5 score. Will come in and tell you just how great of a guy he is. In a 5-5 game here in St. Louis, top of the 5th inning, and Jason Marquis will work to the bottom 3 in the lineup for the Marlins. Hermida, Amazaga, and Nolasco.
I didn't realize you knew that I was T.O.'s agent.
Well, if you are, then
Drew's just the
congratulations.
He's the extension.
You really should be proud.
I've taught him how to handle things correctly.
First pitch is strike to Hermida, and let's see if Marquis can come back after getting a second life in this game. Runs the count to 0-2.
And one of the things Cardinal pitchers, probably the exception of Marquis, have done a poor job of, and that is stopping the opposition after your teammates score for you.
Ball 1 to Hermida.
Wainwright throwing in the Cardinals bullpen as Marquis is at 98 pitches on the evening.
They would love to get him through this 5th inning. Don't know if they can hope for much more. Now ball 2. The problem tonight has been getting the 2 strikes and then
putting the hitter away.
Either trying to put the hitter away, losing the hitter, but throwing a lot of pitches in the meantime after getting the 2 quick strikes. And here it is again, 0-2. Now it's 3-2. And it adds all the way up to 100 pitches through 4+ innings. To the right side for Belliard. Ronnie takes care of it. 1 out.
Well, he gets ahead in the count, but as you said, that probably the curse is getting 0-2 and then picking.
Tony La Russa back on the phone to Marty Mason out of the bullpen, and might have told Wainwright to cool it. Maybe throw leisurely and hang out and hope that Marquis can get through this fifth. Here is Amazaga, and Alfredo takes a ball. He is tripled, been thrown out of the plate on the suicide squeeze try, and then struck out.
This era of pitch counts, it would be well advised from Jason to throw as efficiently as possible. Now, they're not afraid to let him go beyond 100 pitches because he's so strong and basically kind of a power guy, in the sense that power pitchers will throw more pitches. Not that he strikes out people.
Averaging just under 96 pitches per start. He will kick that average up after tonight.
Last year he was like about 105 pitches he averaged.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitcher's spot is next. Nolasco is not out in the on-deck circle, but there is no action for the Marlins out in their pen. It's a good thing he's not in the on-deck circle, because he would have taken one off the mouth on that foul ball. 1-2 still on Amazaga. And the next is a jam shot out to second. Good pickup by Belliard. Not an easy play. 2 out. Can you name the 3 active Cardinals who attended community college? Tyler Johnson, Jason Isringhausen, Albert Pujols. You too can start smart at St. Louis Community College. They have 3 campuses here in St. Louis. Registration for fall classes is going on now. Log on to stlcc.edu to get a smart start on your education. With 2 out, nobody on. Here is Nolasco, who was struck out and walked. Marquis is on his way to doing exactly what you talked about, and that is shut down the opposition after his teammates, and Marquis included, rallied for a 4-run 4th inning to tie it. That's into right field. Back to his left is Wilson. Nice play, and that for Marquis is his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. Halfway through it, heart of the order coming up. Pujols rolling in. Carnassi. Bud Light. We move into the bottom of the 5th. Tomorrow, finale of this series. On the air at 6:30 with a pregame show, and it's the Marlins and Cardinals, and the combination of Jeff Suppan and Dontrelle Willis. You know, looking at the numbers, it's hard to believe that the Marlins are where they are. Granted, there's still a game under 500. But Dontrelle Willis, the celebrated left-hander, has only 9 wins.
Yeah, he's got 3 rookies with more wins for Joe Girardi than Dontrelle Willis. He got off to a horrendous start. I think it started with the World Baseball Classic. And he's trying to even his record tomorrow at 10-10.
Breaking ball is low to Pujols. Albert tonight has flied to right twice. Trying to get it started as the Cardinals are looking for their first lead of the night. There's a good pitch on the corner. 1-1.
Cubs and Marlin pitchers have held Albert to a 2 for 17 on this homestand.
That's in the air to left center field. Back is Amazaga. Won't get it. It's gone. Number 39 for Albert, and the Cardinals do have their first lead of the night.
That's the kind of swing we've been hoping for. 39th home run, 108 RBIs, 95 runs scored. Albert's been popping up an awful lot of balls. There you see him just use his wrist to go out there and drive that ball.
Sounded good off his bat. The only question is, did it have enough height out there and carry enough, and it just did. Ball 1 up and in to Scott Rowland.
Something we haven't done for a while is back-to-back.
Rolen doubled and got that rally started last inning. That's foul. Rolen had that idea, but yanked it. A 405-foot home run.
If we can go back, Joe, I could show after Rolen, maybe I'll show you something that Hal McRae has been trying to get Albert not to do.
2 balls and a strike on Rolen, whose average is at 308. Velasco tricked him. 2-2. Rolen's double last inning started a 4-run, 5-hit rally. RBIs by Preston Wilson, Jason Marquis, and a run scored on an error. That's foul. And almost turned into a shin bruise for that guy running out to pick it up.
He doesn't know how lucky he is. He might have had a little trouble retrieving that ball. Well, of course, it wouldn't have gone out there, but would have hit him in the shin. Yeah, of course it could have.
He would have been jogging out there with a limp. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Rolen fights it off and drops it into right field for a hit. And it's misplayed in right. Rolen will end up at second. It'll probably be a hit and an error on the right fielder, Hermida.
Hermida has committed 8 errors prior to that play. Harvett spray the ball around, uses his hands, kind of fights that ball off, slices it into right field. Albert Pujols, watch the left foot. Watch how he just picks it up and just basically puts it right back down. Because he was favoring his elbow, he was taking that front foot and going out about 6 or 7 inches, and that got him off balance to where he was uppercutting, popping the ball up. That's what Hal McRae was trying to get him to do, is go back to trust your hands that they will get there, and don't go out there and strike out, because that's not the type of hitter he is.
They have given Rolen a double. I don't know how that's not an error on Hermida and right. Either way, Matt Hergis will take over out of the Marlins. Brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers as Matt Hergis takes over for Nolasco here in the 5th.
Here's another pitcher that has done a nice job of coming in, restoring order, bridging the gap till they get into their late inning guys and their closer.
And with the Expos, the Dodgers, the Giants, been around. Here's a ground ball up the middle, base hit by Encarnacion. Rolen is held at third with nobody out, and it's first and third for Preston Wilson. Encarnacion, his second hit of the night.
Well, you know how aggressive that Oquendo is, so when he holds a runner, there's a specific reason. But set up away, the ball comes right back to the middle of the plate, up the middle, not hit particularly hard, but their center fielder plays relatively short with nobody out, and he charged the ball well. You hold Rolen at third base, you give a golden opportunity for Preston Wilson, who his last time got a double and 2 RBIs.
A Rico pitcher is the right-hander Matt Hergis, and his 8th season in the big leagues. He has been a reliever wherever he has been. Preston Wilson takes a strike.
Hergis, I believe, is from the upstate Illinois.
Check on Encarnacion. Juana's at first, Rolen at third. Hergis came up with the Dodgers, Montreal for a season, San Diego, then San Francisco, Arizona, San Francisco again. And he was born in Champaign, Illinois. That's high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I like Champaign, Illinois.
You know,
Great town.
In my younger days, it was great because I could close down 2 towns in one night, Champaign and Urbana.
Here's a 1-1. Hergis. This is high, 2-1. I was waiting to see Wainwright get back up in the bullpen, and he has started to crank it up with the top of the order due in the 6th. Now the Cardinals have the lead. Here comes a 2-1. Wilson, base hit right field. Roland scores. The Cardinals lead 7-5, and Preston Wilson's having quite a night. 2 out of 3, 3 RBIs, and so far 1 run scored.
Well, Preston's going to strike out a bunch, and tonight his first strikeout was 101 on the season, but then the 2-run double. Now he goes the other way, shoots a ball to the right side, and he gets his 3rd RBI of the night. And you know, if you make a mistake, he can jack it out of the ballpark. So he's giving this team a little shot in the arm and a little, you know, puts a little fear in the opponent's pitching staff.
Still nobody out. And Ronnie Belliard is at the plate with Molina on deck, and then the pitcher spot. Good tailing delivery from Hergis, strike 1. Could be one of those instances where if the situation presents itself, Marquis could stay in to hit and then be relieved for Wainwright, who's getting loose and is not out there doing it for fun. He's getting ready to come in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, let's hope Marquis hits.
Good numbers for Belliard against Hergis.
And I think you're absolutely right. His night is through as a pitcher, but can still be an effective hitter.
Big swing and a miss, 1-2.
Off-speed pitch had him way out in front. Belliard, after a slow start, he's starting to contribute, and he's shown some great defense.
Shown a ton of range to his right. And a great arm. That's foul. Hammered, but foul. Remember the feel-good story of baseball this year, the Detroit Tigers?
Yes. What's their lead?
It is, words of Paul Simon, slip sliding away. On the verge of being swept in a doubleheader at Yankee Stadium. They started the day 5 games up on the White Sox. Belliard strikes out. Hergis did a nice job with that out pitch, 1 away. Here's Yadier Molina.
Detroit does have a 5-3 lead in the 9th inning.
Oh, they just went ahead.
They went ahead.
I just looked up.
Got 3 runs, right? Yeah, it was 3-2. And so they're still batting the top of the 9th at Yankee Stadium.
So 3 big runs, and meanwhile the White Sox are losing at home to Tampa Bay.
How about Kansas City is putting another?
Kansas City, they shut out Minnesota last night 2-0, and they're beating them now 3-2 in the 8th. Here is Molina. Yadier with 2 on and 1 out. Makes a strike over the inside corner.
By the way, just to make Mike Helling's night, our producer Ron Schuler said he saw Springfield play against the AA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals, and he said they had 5 legitimate big league prospects out of their 8 position players on the field.
On the outside corner, 0-2.
Huge gap out here in right center. And, you know, we've seen Molina a lot of times plug that area. Messenger warming up for, now the right-hander warming up for the Marlins.
The 0-2. Molina breaks his bat. Burgess fires to second for one. No double play, and it's first and third, 2 out.
Even if he didn't get the runner at second base, he still had plenty of time to get Molina at first. Surprised he didn't throw it just anyway.
Now Marquis, who has 2 hits and RBI, will bat. And you have to believe, with as much as Wainwright has loosened up in the bullpen, that Marquis' night throwing the ball is finished. He'll end up going 5, allowing 5 runs on 7 hits, and he can only be the winner if he gets a decision. Up to 108 pitches, and a nice play by Olivo to save a run.
Marquis is his last assignment before he becomes a cheerleader is this plate appearance. You're right, he is not going back out to pitch. Or I would, as Wainwright sits down, but I think with 2 outs, he's just going to take a blow.
First and third, 2 away, 1 ball, no strikes on Marquis. Two and 0.
We're just paying attention to Marquis as the hitter in the bullpen.
By the way, on the night, that's it for Marquis. He walked 3, struck out 2, hit 2. Has allowed 5 runs on 7 hits. But right now, he is focused on Matt Herges and trying to add to a 2-run lead. Hanley Ramirez will step on, and that'll do it for the Cardinals, but they get 2. A home run by Pujols and an RBI by Wilson. 7-5 after 5. Cardinals will hand it to their bullpen, and in particular their rookie right-hander Adam Wainwright. Call to the bullpen is brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers.
Wainwright has had a lot of experience this year. Here in his 51st game, he has 1 save on the year, that 2-1 record, an ERA at 3.27, 63 1/3 innings, 56 hits, 20 walks, 56 strikeouts, and a point bang 237. He's not been as lights out as he was early in the season, but he's gained an awful lot of experience this year pitching out of the bullpen.
Starts the inning with a strike on Ramirez, who is 3 for 3. Marquis couldn't figure him out. A single, 2 doubles, another strike, 2 runs scored and a stolen base for Ramirez tonight.
Big game for both clubs. I think the Cardinals, it's good to see them bounce back after giving up a lot of runs and then come back charging.
Breaking ball is looped into left field for Duncan. One away. Dan Uggla will be the hitter. He has been held hitless tonight, but only 1 official at bat. He's dropped down a sacrifice bunt, walked and scored, lined out. The only time he was retired back in the 2nd without advancing a runner. Wainwright, breaking ball, a good one, strike 1. Wainwright and Yadier Molina get together on the sign. It's another strike, and it's been nothing but strikes from Adam. It's 0-2. Uggla now, and Helms on deck. Cabrera hit by a pitch in the 3rd inning, could not continue. Molina wanted it in the dirt, got it in the dirt, and Uggla took it.
That's a pitch right there, that breaking ball in the dirt, that many times he has fooled hitters early in the season. And you wonder, if he's as a starter, fastball down, overpowers him. But you kind of wonder, as a starter, when you're in the 3rd or 4th inning, that they would be fooled by those breaking balls in the dirt. Third time through the order.
Our hot pitch of the game brought to you by Hardee's. A 1-2 fastball and a good spot.
Spot looked like it had some life to it.
Here's Wes Helms. Takes a strike.
He just loved the way he comes in and just commands the strike zone.
Just as talked about body language earlier.
Yeah, we talked about it, you know, and here's the, you know, a prime example. But what I'm telling people is you can do it as a guy coming out of the bullpen for an inning or two. You can't sustain that type of aggressiveness through, you know, in the rotation.
Which is where he is ticketed for 07. That's a broken back ground ball. Tough play, and Belliard can't get it there in time. Just put in the right spot for Helms, and he gets a rare infield hit.
I wonder if about the time he was throwing and Miles flashes in front of him, that altered his throw a little bit. But jams him, breaks the bat, muscles it up there, and Miles flashing through in front of him and kind of started to throw, and then he kind of fell backwards. So it took a little steam off it.
Here's Willingham representing the tying run at the plate, 2 out. Top of the 6th inning. Cardinals will have the top of the order in the bottom half of this frame. Miles, Duncan, and Pujols. Albert is homered tonight. The 1-0. Blocked by Molina, 2-0. Detroit did end up splitting with 3 runs in the top of the 9th inning at the Yankees. They split a doubleheader. Boston lost again, 7-2 at Oakland. Oakland has all but wrapped up the AL West. The Yankees have all but wrapped up the AL East. The AL Central is still open for business. There's a strike, 2-1.
That Boston loss becomes even more of a possibility that they trade their big left-hander. I mean, big in more ways than one.
And here's the thing about Wells that I really like about getting him. I think he'd shoot right toward the top of the rotation if you get him. I don't care if he's 40+ years old. It's a good pitch, not called a strike. He's a heavy pitcher. He's a big left-hander. He's a great athlete, number 1. 2, because he was hit on the knee, he hasn't pitched much this year, so he's not worn out at all. He's fresh. If you're going to get a guy like that, get him now, and he's been pitching much better over the last 3 weeks. 3-1 pitch.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he had knee surgery in the offseason.
Knee surgery in the offseason.
And then he was drilled in the knee on a surgical.
And he just couldn't come back from
it. And then so he's really, you know, pitching well here in August, and he's like 10-4 in postseason play.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Runner at first will go. That's Helms. And on the outside corner to end the inning. Willingham didn't like it. Adam Wainwright loved it. A hit. The Marlins have left 8. 7-5 into the bottom of the 6th. Top of the order will bat for the Cardinals in their half of the 6th inning, as it was for the Marlins in the top half. Cardinals lead by 2. Miles, Duncan, and Pujols against the right-hander Hergis, who relieved Nolasco last inning. Ball 1. Aaron has a sac fly, reached on an error, and that batted ball he hit for the error by Ramirez in the 4th. Scored a run to tie the game in that 4-run, 5-hit inning. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Left elbow contusion for Miguel Cabrera, the outstanding young slugger for the Marlins, and he's listed day to day. Probably be good once he leaves town.
0-1-1. Good tailing pitch from Hergis, strike 2.
Pitch that looks like it's inside. A left-handed batter gives up on it, and then it slides into the strike zone.
Miles hitting .265. It's been a good first year in a Cardinal uniform for Aaron. That is a fair ball. Off the glove of the first baseman. Miles will dig for second and make it with a hustling double. Jacobs couldn't come up with it, and Aaron Miles turns it into his first hit, a double to start the sixth.
You're absolutely right about Aaron Miles this season. He went into spring training, and there was no way he even had a shot to make this ball club. But he performed well. And remember, he had a problem where he went 5 for 5 in the first game, and then he injured his hand, missed about 2 weeks, and you thought they'd write him off there. But all the second base candidates fell by the wayside, and Aaron Miles won the job by default. And he's been a very valuable part of this team.
Here's Duncan trying to at least move the runner over out in front of that pitch. Strike one. That play right there that Jacobs didn't make to his left, that's a ball that Pujols is so good with, to his left, reaching out, stabbing one of those high bouncers that's right down the line.
It's his glove hand, too.
Here is an 0-1 pitch to Chris Duncan. Ball and a strike. If you talk to Tony La Russa about Chris, and obviously he's known Chris all of Chris's life, he'll tell you anywhere he's been in the minor leagues, the reports have been good on 3 different fronts about what he is as a player. Not just the talent, not just the potential, but what he does in the clubhouse and on a ball club with his teammates. Now, as a rookie, he's not going to show all he can do in the leadership category, but that's something that the Cardinals look for from Chris in the years to come. He certainly plays the game in a hard-nosed way, and he can rake as he fouls it off to the right, strike two.
Well, he has something that you can't teach either, and that's raw power. Yeah, you can maximize it, but you know, in many cases he was a high school player. In many cases he was always the youngest guy on the team. Struggled maybe the first half. The second half he, you know, found out what he had to do to play at that level, and was equal to everybody else. But then breakthrough season last year as he led Memphis with home runs and RBIs.
Got to put the ball in play here, and he gets a piece of it.
And in spring training, he, you know, really opened up a lot of people's eyes. But it was obvious that, you know, with other options like Taguchi, like Rodriguez, other Spezio, and people like that, that unless he was going to play every day or get a sufficient amount of bats, he was better off going to Memphis and getting the at bats.
Lays off, 3-2.
His third stint with the team this year, and he's added another dimension with Pujols. You know, you kind of thought, okay, fastball hitter, with that raw power, you put him in front of Pujols. But because he's been so effective, he's hit 11 of his 14 home runs in the second half. He's seeing a lot of off-speed pitches too. Good at bat. He coaxes a walk out of Hergis. Now this right-hander has nowhere to put Pujols with 2 on and nobody out. And that's going to be it for Hergis. Girardi, who has a body fat of about 0.5%, walks out to make the pitching change. Hergis is out. Pujols is coming up. 5 and a chance for more as the Cardinals try to extend that lead. New pitcher is Randy Messenger, and he has the unenviable task of coming in with 2 on and nobody out and dealing with Albert Pujols. Meanwhile, we remind you, the Suntrop Automotive family has their home run recap, and tonight Pujols has hit number 39. Every time a Cardinal hits a home run, it means another $100 to the Suntrop's Win One for the Kids Charity Foundation. Pujols with 2 on and nobody out deals with Randy Messenger. Pitch for strike 1. The guy at 6'6", 247 Albert's facing. Recall from AAA Albuquerque on April the 17th. and he's been busy.
Pujols pops it into left center field. That won't do anything as the left fielder Willingham hauls it in. 2 on, 1 out. A little off balance was Pujols with that swing, and he fires his helmet down into the dugout. That's as frustrated as I have ever seen him.
Well, I think he had been working on shortening that stride the way he had all season long, and trying to, hit the ball a little bit to right field is what Hal McRae worked on at that 4 o'clock hitting session. Did it pretty much the first 3 times at the plate, and then he kind of, as you said, got that wide stride again and got off balance, popped it up.
Now rolling 2 on, 1 out. Scott takes the ball. Tonight for Scott, 2 doubles, 2 runs scored, his average up to 309. Ball 2, 2-0, and Encarnacion next. Cardinals swept the Marlins in Florida earlier this year. That was in May, the beginning of May. Marlins won here last night. Cardinals lead tonight. Now 3-0 on rolling.
Duncan and Molina. Molina really works hard to try and help these pitchers, remembering and retaining what Duncan says and how to get guys out.
3-1 from the right-hander Messenger. And now Scott can rip away.
The Anthony Reyes hat from Messenger. Flat bill.
Sweeping the nation. That's wide, and the bases are loaded. And Encarnacion, who has had a nice night with 2 hits, a run scored, could make it a great night.
Albert, after that at bat, went up in the video room, come back, check it out.
Boy, he is hot.
Oh. I mean, you can't be as good as he is without being driven. They work ethic and always trying to be better.
Encarnacion now with the bases loaded. Tried to hold up, did. Ball 1. First base umpire tonight is Gary Cedarstrom. They are really playing Encarnacion to pull.
How about that gap on right center?
And that's in the air to right center. That'll score a run. Making the catch is Amizaga. Tagging and advancing to the plate is Miles. It's 8-5. Over to third is Duncan. The Cardinals have their biggest lead of the night. Encarnacion has his 68th RBI.
Just gives Preston Wilson a 2-out opportunity too. He's already plated 3.
Yeah, he's had a big night. A 2-run double. I think his 2-run double back in the 4th inning turned this game around.
Well, and then Jason Marquis, a couple batters later, got an extra RBI, another run. But you're absolutely right. There's times when you just have to, when you're trailing, you've got to peck away, and you've got to come up with a key hit. And you're right about that 2-run double.
First and third, 2 out. 1-0 pitch is not close. 2-0 with Belliard next. Wainwright will go back out. He threw 16 pitches in his first inning of work. He'll work the 7th with Jacobs, Olivo, and Hermida, scheduled hitters.
Made it 5-3 with that double.
It was 5-1 at the time. The Cardinals were having trouble, obviously, last night and earlier in this game. making something happen, coming up with a big hit. Wilson, the 2-run double. Cardinals went on to a 4-run inning. Now it's 3-1 on Preston. Mookie Wilson steps on.
He said Mookie's here tonight.
Still one of the most beloved Mets ever to play in New York. Popped up on the infield for the third baseman Helms. Inning is over. Cardinals get a run. Strand 2 have left 7 into the 7th. 8-5 Cardinals. I'll begin Saturday with a kickoff show presented by Kyocera at 10:30 a.m. Central, only on FSN Midwest. Adam Wainwright, second inning of work. Mike Jacobs first up, 1 for 2 tonight. A deep breath and off we go. 8-5 Cardinals out in front. And a strike from Adam.
How long you go with Mr. Wainwright?
Let's see if this can be an economical inning. On the outside corner, 0-2. Good fastball there from Wainwright, his best of the night velocity-wise. Cardinals have the back end of their bullpen rested for tonight's game. Names like Looper and Izzy. Ball 1 to Jacobs. Good pitch, breaking ball, dropped off the table, and Jacobs came up empty. Third strikeout into 4 outs that Wainwright has picked up.
Right over the top, that good breaking ball, and swinging over the top of it. He's also been able to incorporate a slider to go with that good curve ball.
Fastball is chopped to Miles at short. 2 down.
Good so far.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he can get this next hitter, Amita, with a couple of pitches if La Russa isn't at least tempted to run him back out there for another inning. He's due up third in the bottom of the 7th, but
he's seen at times where he's stayed hit and then been replaced.
Amita takes a ball.
How about this? You know, the Cardinals do not have an off day until September 14th. He pitches 2 innings. You have to give him at least 1 day off, and sometimes they give him 2. How about if he has an efficient 3rd inning, you let him finish the game?
Now I think we're getting crazy.
Everybody wants to make him a starter. I'm giving you a legitimate way to stretch him out. Let him have a save. Let him, let him have a couple days off.
Oh, just wicked. What a great curveball. 2 strikeouts in each of his 2 innings, and this thing is just filthy. Hermida. Goodbye. 8-5, time to stretch. Attention high school students and guidance counselors. Attention high school students and guidance counselors. The Cardinals are hosting the 2nd annual Career Day Wednesday, September 13th. Good game against Houston. Prior to the game, the Cardinals will feature program, Cardinal executives, and front office personnel giving tips and details on careers in sports. There you go. We get questions about that all the time, and here's your chance for high school students and guidance counselors. Wednesday, September 13th. For information, call the Cardinals 314-345-9500 for ticket information. 1-1 on Ronnie Belliard. Sellout tonight, 41,322. Good game. Cardinals at 1 point, base hit. Cardinals at 1 point, trailed 5-1. They now lead 8-5, and Belliard is on base for the second time tonight. Pat Nelms is today's merchandise winner in the Hyundai Long Drive Inning Sweepstakes. The Cardinals hit a home run in the 7th. Pat qualifies for the Hyundai Sonata drawing in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer. Here is Yadier Molina, and I am pleased to report that Adam Wainwright is in the on-deck circle. And there's nobody in the bullpen. Getting loose. Are you going to start a controversy now?
No, I just want to see him have that real efficient 8th inning and see if they toy with the idea.
Molina flies one into center. Amazaga back at the track at the wall for the out. About 400 feet away, had one more step to go. And Belliard all the way back to first with one loud out.
The first pitch swing and a drive.
Wainwright gets a nice hand as he walks in, and Amazaga had literally one more step before he banged into the wall.
Done a nice job as the utility infielder playing center field last 2 nights.
Here's Wainwright showing bunt, can handle the bat, takes the ball.
How about his first big league win? First pitch he saw in the big leagues, he hit a home run.
That's a good start, but it's only downhill from there.
Well, a guy named Hoyt Wilhelm hit a home run on his first at bat and never got another one, but he ended up in the Hall of Fame.
Remember where Rene Latchman used to stand when McGuire was on the team and he was a third base coach?
In the first row?
The first row. The last pitch, Okendo, and now the home plate umpire's backing him up. Okendo was, 30 feet from home plate.
Right. Or when Dantley's going, hey, wait a minute. Can't be standing there.
That box is a guideline down the base paths, but can't stretch it that far. Swing and a miss on a hit and run, and Belliard is tagged out in the second out of the inning. Caught stealing. 2-6, and it's a 1-2 count on Wainwright.
Talking about somebody's career gone downhill, and it's not fair because he's a young player, Hermidia, but his very first pitch he saw in the big leagues was a pinch hit grand slam. One day, tomorrow will be the first anniversary. Here's Wainwright.
Into left center field, and 2 bounces against the wall.
Well, the hit and run was a good idea. They just made a bad pitch to him. It was up. He tried to defend the runner, Belliard running, but they tagged him out, or the Cardinals would have another run.
We'll bring in Aaron Miles, and Wainwright, who is a scratch golfer, can show us all that he can swing the lumber.
9th spot in the batting order. 3 hits tonight. Single and RBI off the bat of Marquis, and now a double off of Wainwright.
I think you're talking about 2 very good athletes.
Yes.
In Marquis and Wainwright. Here is Aaron Miles. Up the middle, off the pitcher's glove, and safe at first to continue the inning. Messenger killed its momentum and turned that into a hit for Miles.
Now he's 6'6", but he just popped it in the air, slowed it up to where it wouldn't get to his second baseman so he could complete the play.
Gives Duncan a chance to blow this thing wide open. Singular text message question of the night: who's raising the bar? Singular is raising the bar. Who should win the National League MVP? And your answer is not a surprise whatsoever. Albert Pujols, but nice to see Ryan Howard, the St. Louisan. That's nice. Nice to see Ryan Howard, the St. Louisan, with his 48 home runs to tie Mike Schmidt's Phillies single season record. They won tonight. Philly did 5-1 at Washington. I don't know if he went deep tonight.
No, but he will break that record. with a month left to play.
And he could not be a better guy.
Oh, Joe, you're absolutely right. What a special young man. Credit to his parents and raised right from Lafayette High School here in St. Louis.
2-0 on Duncan. He is sitting on one to wheel. And instead it's high with Pujols on deck, 3-0. See if that double by Wainwright can turn into the back-breaking inning for the Florida Marlins.
Another thing about Duncan is he's done a good job of watching pitches, you know, taking walks to get Pujols up, and really has held his own, you know, up here, not striking out much.
Good rip.
When he starts that swing, you get a little excited.
Absolutely. That's why I say, and you asked me that the other night when I came on, and at the beginning of the night, he's a young guy that brings excitement with him every time he steps to the batter's box.
And he is a leader with the young pitchers in that bullpen.
That's up the middle. Duncan rockets a base hit to center. Cardinals lead 9-5. Miles with good base running goes first to third. He was off on that 3-2 pitch, and the Cardinals have scored in every inning since the third. So that double by Wainwright was not hit in vain.
Time you can add to this lead, but misses location, you know, set up, down and away. Ball drifts over the middle of the plate, taken right back up the middle for his first hit and his 30th RBI.
Marlins came in having won 9 straight, jumped out to a 5-1 lead, and the Cardinals have scored 8 runs since that moment. Fastball strike to Pujols after his last at bat. Albert with 2 on and nobody out popped up into left center. Extremely frustrated, fired his helmet down into the dugout. Here's a wild pitch. Miles will score, and the Cardinals lead 10-5. Down to second is Duncan.
Pitch in the dirt could have been blocked a little better, but Miles scores, and now with Duncan taking second base, they don't necessarily have to pitch to Albert. Might see if he falls behind in the count, or they will put him on.
In the air to right field, back at the track, at the wall, off the wall for a base hit for Pujols. A run scores. Albert's got a double, and the Cardinals lead 11-5 as it just kept carrying over the head of Hermida in right. We talked about how Albert frustrated with his last at bat and went up and watched the video. What they wanted him to do, because he was kind of jumping at the ball a little bit, the whole intent in his batting practice today was hit the ball to the right side. He got a home run out to left center, but that might be the location. But other times today, 3 balls to right field. The time he got upset is when he popped it up to left. Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, out to talk as we go back to the replay and look at that front foot. He's been actually, many times, he just picks it up and puts it right back in the same toe hole. This time it's just a slight little variation going out there. But Al McRae was telling me, and I was asking him about his elbow, and he said, yes, it is bothering him. But he said part of the mindset was to try, he was worried about getting beat inside or not getting his hands, trusting his hands to get to the ball. So he was striding out too far, and then he would rotate and he was popping the ball up. He'd drop the back shoulder, pop the ball up. A couple times tonight he has done that, but for the most part he's done what Hal tried to get him to do, and it's very tough to kind of, in game conditions, do the same thing you practice. Counts 2-0 on Roland. Lefty Pinto, another part of that trade with Chicago. They brought the starter and Mitre and Pinto for the center fielder, Juan Pierre. Pickoff throw down at second, and Pujols was Back into the bag with a late slide, and then just flips Hanley Ramirez over his hip. Count has moved to 3-0 on Rolen, and just happy to see Albert didn't hurt himself going back into the bag that hard that late.
Or see, Ramirez, lucky for him that he didn't hurt himself.
And now Pujols is saying something to Ramirez. Here's a 3-0 to Rolen. 3-1. Time called as Rolen hops out of there. Almost 10 o'clock, and we are in the bottom of the 7th. Now with the score being what it is, you can almost make the case to take Wainwright out. Here's a little pop-up into shallow right, might fall, and does fall for another run. Hermida couldn't get there, got a glove on it, couldn't haul it in. Pujols scores, and the Cardinals lead 12-5.
Be a double switch as that's a crowning blow. You see how Albert just picks it, or excuse me, Scott Rolen picks it up. A little more of a stride, but every hitter's a little different. And here it's just a flare. Eludes the right fielder, tries to make the sliding grab, does not connect with it, kicked it away. Rolen ends up at second base. He traded places with Pujols, who scored another run.
Encarnacion will be the hitter. Cardinals have blown it open here in the 7th as they have drilled the messenger.
Richard comes in as part of the double switch. He'll take over in right field, and they bring in the southpaw Pinto. He was recalled from Albuquerque on July 29th. 12 games. He earned his first career save in his last appearance. He threw 3+ innings, threw a career high 72 pitches. In his last 7 appearances, no record in a 2.53 ERA.
Encarnacion with Rolen at second. This is all made possible because of a 2-out double by Adam Wainwright. 2 out, nobody on. Wainwright up, plugged the gap in left center field. Then an infield hit by Miles. Duncan with an RBI hit up the middle. Pujols with an RBI double to right. Rolen with his 3rd double of the night. Drove home Pujols to chase Messenger, and now Encarnacion against Pinto. So 1.
Every spot in the order, 1 through 9 for the Cardinals, has at least 1 hit. 3 hits from the pitcher spot, 9th.
A 1-0 to Encarnacion is a high strike. 1-1. Encarnacion with a sac fly tonight, a pair of singles, a run scored. Cardinals in a rare laugher. Nothing but relaxation tonight.
Except for Tony.
Tony is not relaxed. He is. Got one leg up on the 3rd step of the dugout, pondering the 2006 Cardinals. How about another hit? Encarnacion is red hot. Hit that hanger into left field to make it 13-5.
3rd single of the night, 2nd RBI. Ball out away from him, kind of reaches out and just hits it sharply into left field over the head of Ramirez. Scott Rolen scores.
"13 runs on 19 hits. And Preston Wilson, who has a 2-run double, an RBI single, takes a strike. To the right side will end the inning as Jacobs goes to the bag. We go to the 8th inning. Cardinals having fun finally here tonight, leading by 8. The FSN final score tonight, 11:30 on FSN Midwest. Kansas Jayhawk shirt. Crowd here at Busch Stadium. As Wainwright will work his 3rd inning. And he's been very good, very sharp. He's got a great curveball working, as you'll see with his last 2 strikeouts. And his night is finished. Problem was, Looper wasn't ready. So he let Wainwright go out there and just flip it to home for 2 minutes while Looper got loose in the bullpen, and the double switch is so Taguchi's going to go out, play right field, and the Cardinals will bring Looper into the game. Take a break. Wainwright did his job tonight. 2 very good innings. Wainwright is finished for the night. And Adam not only pitched well this evening, but down there in the dugout talking about his hitting prowess with his double that started that good night everybody inning in the bottom of the 7th, and Braden Looper takes over.
I don't think Looper even got up until after the inning.
You're right.
And so Wainwright was forced to go out there, and you hope Looper is ready. Said he is, and he hasn't pitched since last Sunday, so he's well rested, and that was just an inning of work, and he was pitching much better of late.
Wainwright 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts.
I think he only threw about 25 pitches. So
Amizaga first up. Double switch with Joe Borchard batting the number 9 spot. That's strike 2. Two on Amizaga, leading it off in the 8th, and Looper misses with ball 1. It has been an evolution over the course of the season, but Looper has become more and more dialed in, more and more dependable, and has compiled a 7-1 record with a good ERA of 3.5.
I think it's only fair that we have to remind ourselves and everyone else that he had shoulder surgery last off-season.
Now he's got to use his legs to get to the bag and save it first as Amizaga beat Looper over there.
And just take his eye off the bag to get that underhand toss from Pujols, and kid running down the line. Kind of a little late, and then it's a foot race, and he loses.
Maybe. Yeah. So it's an infield hit of the leadoff variety for Amizaga, and here's Joe Borchard batting the number 9 spot.
Claimed off of waivers May 3rd from the Mariners.
Takes a strike from Looper. Came up through the White Sox organization.
Done a lot of pinch hitting. This is not a pinch hitting assignment where it's part of the double switch, but 286, 10 for 35 this season as a pinch hitter.
He was traded to Seattle prior to Seattle putting him on waivers, and that's how the Marlins got him. For a guy, Matt Thornton, the left-hander, who throws about 98. That is into the gap in right center field. Just slams off the wall in right center, and Amizaga is going to cruise to the plate. An RBI double is Borchard at second, and it's a 13-6 game. It was not going to go over the wall. The question is, would it go through it?
And that sound of it hitting the padding. But remember how quickly the Cardinals scored their 5 runs. You have to shut down these Marlins.
Here's Hanley Ramirez. They have won 9 in a row, and they don't want to go down without a fight here tonight. Ramirez 3 out of 4 with 2 doubles, a single, takes a strike.
I mentioned earlier that this batter has 12 home runs. He also last night got his 9th triple. Sets a new record for the Marlins.
On the inside corner, 0-2. LA has a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 4th inning at home over Cincinnati, and the Cardinals are 3.5 up on the Reds. Could be an even better sight in the paper in the morning if the Cardinals can hang on here and the Dodgers beat Cincinnati again. The Cardinals would have a 4.5 game lead in the division after virtually being caught.
Houston beats Milwaukee 1-0.
Watch out for Houston.
Yeah, they're not going away.
Houston's won 5 straight.
Joe, I think the Cardinals still have 7 games left with Houston.
The wild card department, they are 3 out behind San Diego. The problem is they've got Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Florida, the Giants, and Arizona in between Houston and the top spot in the wild card. 1-2 pitch. 2-2. LA leading 2-zip at home over Cincinnati. Cardinals need to get some outs here, and Hanley Ramirez batting in front of Dan Ugla and Wes Helms, trying to get the Marlins back in it. Full count. Three hours into this game. Top of the 8th. Orchard at second, nobody out.
Didn't you say earlier that the beauty of this game was no clock?
The beauty. Here's a grounder foul outside third.
The old story is you'll stay all night for a victory.
That's right.
But if you're going to lose, lose quick.
That's right, too. The White Sox came back to beat Tampa Bay 5-4. Kansas City held on to beat Minnesota, so the White Sox are now 4.5 out in their division behind Detroit, and a 1.5 games up on Minnesota in the wild card. Still 3-2 on Hanley Ramirez.
Boston lost another game in the wild card standings,
and they are 8 out in the AL East. This, in my opinion, has been Joe Torre's finest year as the manager of the New York Yankees, considering they lost 200 RBIs at least in their outfield in early May when Sheffield and Matsui went down. Ramirez has to get a new bat. And mixed and matched, they brought up kids, Melky Cabrera. Their rotation hasn't been right. Randy Johnson's been hit or miss. They haven't had Favano. Jared Wright was slow to recover.
I was just going to say, a lot of people would associate, okay, you lose 2 outstanding outfielders. Well, just open up the purse strings and go buy another outfielder, but that wasn't the case.
They didn't do it. They stayed with the kids. They stayed with Melky Cabrera, and they brought up a bunch of guys from minor leagues. Picked up Aaron Guile off waivers from Kansas City. They were not going to trade what few prospects they have left for a stopgap, and they didn't have to trade much to get Abreu and Lytle at the deal, the deadline. Here's another 3-2 pitch to Ramirez. Tough play. Safe. Pujols couldn't dig it out. Rolen had time, but short hopped it over to first, and Everybody at home watching this game just said, uh-oh.
Scott maybe had a little more time as he's throwing the ball off balance and kind of with his momentum falling backwards. So they're taking that crow hop and getting his feet under control where he could just show off the strong arm. Trying to rush that throw, and with Ramirez, it's a legitimate, and it's another error, the second error of the night on Scott Rowland.
Now Ugla takes a strike. Ugla has been held hitless tonight. Helms on deck, then Willingham. And any more signs of this blossoming into a bigger inning, the Cardinals will get a lefty ready for Jacobs. 0-2.
Tyler Johnson pitching an inning and 2/3 last night very effectively, but you would have to believe that Flores is the only lefty available tonight. But probably not really wanting to use him. Wanting Looper to finish this game.
Cardinals have Soup on tomorrow night against Dontrelle Willis. Ball one. A run is home, 2 are on, and nobody is out. Top of the 8th inning for Florida, down by 7.
Looper throwing his 20th pitch of this inning.
2-2. The 2-2 pitch, got it. One away, and a strikeout, and a good pitch down and in from Looper to get Ugla.
They must think that they can get in on him and tie him up. That had good movement, sinking. But we saw last night, if you get the ball not far enough in and in the middle of the plate, Ugla could have made this a much closer game with one swing.
Helms can do the same. He's hit 8. Driven in 33, a 304 average, a part-time player for the Marlins. Part of a big cast. They use them all, and this group has combined. A year where it was going to be a rebuilding year, to go 1 game under 500, and at the start of the night, only a game and a half out in the wild card race. The 1-0 is swung on and missed as Helms tried to check his swing. It's 1-1. Strike 2. Crowd has thinned as we've gone on. This has been a long night of baseball. And what looked like the start of another frustrating evening has turned around by virtue of a run in the 3rd, 4 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 5 in the 7th. A 13-6 lead at the moment. One and 2 on Wes Helms. Molina went out to talk. One of his many visits. Here it is, and a grounder foul outside 3rd. Joe Girardi, the manager of the Florida Marlins, stayed home with his pregnant wife because of they thought might be a hurricane hitting Florida. Turned into a tropical storm, and he headed here today. Watched the game last night on television and was happy to see his team reel off its 9th win in a row. Now it's 2-2 from Looper. Looper with his 27th pitch of this 8th inning. Might be, should be. Miles steps, throw, double play. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th. Cardinals 3 defensive outs away from wrapping up a win, 13-6. They lead the Marlins.
Here is today's Jack in the Box game recap. A 5-1 game at that point. The Cardinals went off. A lot of hitting and running, and a 13-6 lead, bottom of the 8th inning, and Ronnie Belliard first up.
Because Looper threw 27 pitches. Izzy is warming up. Izzy hasn't pitched since last Friday, so he needs a little work. Not the type of game you want to bring him in, but he did pitch an inning his last time out on Friday, pick up his 31st save, keep him sharp.
1-0 pitch. Belliard fouls it back here. Ball and a strike. Ronnie tonight has 2 hits, 2 out of 4 with a run scored. Molina will follow, and then the pitcher spot, actually Taguchi in the number 9 spot. Preston Wilson out of the game. That's where the pitcher is batting. There's a 1-1. 2-1. Belliard has his average up to 264 since joining the Cardinals. Got off to a slow start and getting better and better. 2-1. Shallow center, and over to get it is Amizaga. 1 down, and Molina will bat. Yadier has a hit tonight. 1 out of 4. Gary Bennett never got to the plate, and you just have to hope that it's a day-to-day thing for Bennett, who strained his lower back, diving to make an out on a tag at the plate back in the top of the 2nd. Strike 1 from the left-hander, Pinto.
6'4" Pinto, 195 from Venezuela.
Oh, 2.
It's an old guy at 25. Just turned 25.
An elder statesman on this Marlins team. The next to Yadier is popped up. Stay in play, it looks like. Drifting and caught. Nice play by Olivo. Over near the on-deck circle and by the camera well, 2 down.
Olivo looked like a pretty promising catcher. A little bit we saw him when he was with San Diego. And he got traded to Seattle, really struggled. He's done a nice job solidifying the catching duties here, allowing Willingham to play left field. Trainer their backup.
Here is So Taguchi and his numbers, 265 average, strike 1. David Eckstein working every day to try to get his body back in order and that oblique strain quieted down so he can come back and play.
And a happy birthday to Bill Lomar Sr. He's 87 years old today. He played with the Cubs. He's here at the game with his son.
Ripped into left field off the bat of Taguchi. It'll carry off the wall above Dizzy Dean's number 17 for a double for the Cardinal right fielder.
Boy, how many doubles do we have in this game?
Well, let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. An 8 double night.
Been a while since we've seen the ball jump off the bat of Taguchi like this. Just didn't elevate it, went off the wall, and he's out in scoring position for Miles.
Aaron has a double tonight. New season high with their 20 hits, and why not put the camera on Hal McRae, the hitting coach, when they come up with a new season high. Miles fooled on that pitch, 0-2. Marlins in the 9th inning will have Willingham, Jacobs, and Olivo. Appears against Jason Isringhausen. Here's a 0-2 to Aaron Miles. Little pop up right side. Jacobs over to get it. A slide and a catch. Nice play. That sends this game into the 9th inning. Marlins will bat, and they trail the Cardinals by 7.
Right after the game for the Busch Light Midwest Sports Report, Joel Goldberg will be along with the star of the game. You're going to hear Tony La Russa's live post-game comments, and we'll update the NL wild card race. That and much more right after the game. Joe and Al will see you right then.
All right, Pat, thank you. It's a 13-6 score. Izzy takes over to get some work, tune it up, and wrap it up. Cardinals will have won 4 of the 5 on the homestand with 4 to go.
Yeah, and that number where some people are singular wireless that they'd win 6 would not be satisfactory. They win 4 out of the first 5 with 4 to go.
1 against the Marlins tomorrow night, albeit against Dontrelle Willis, and then 3 against the Pirates.
And where will you be tomorrow night?
I will be planted in front of my television watching you and Dan. Every word, every syllable.
Izzy now has recorded 6 30 save seasons. He's 3rd in the National League, tied for 3rd with his 31 saves.
Willingham takes the ball. Josh tonight, 1 hit in 4 at-bats. Willingham, Jacobs, and Olivo against Isringhausen. 1 ball, 1 strike. A lot of the same quotes for Isringhausen, who is about as stand-up a closer as there is in the game, and a guy who, when he's not pitching well, will actually admit that he's not pitching well and face the music. He is a guy who has really been bothered with that cutter pitch, which over the years has been a pitch that's made him a lot of money. Breaking ball is hit in the air to center field. It sends Encarnacion back a few. 1 out.
You can absolutely say that win, blow a save, lose a game, Izzy's going to be right there to face the music, not making excuses. Sometimes maybe a little bit too honest.
Mike Jacobs digs his way in. The thing about Isringhausen is it's not like Mariano Rivera, where if his cutter goes, you know, he's a guy that can throw 95 miles an hour and blow it past the bat, but he's basically a one-pitch pitcher. Isringhausen, a former starter, has got more than just the fastball cutter. He's got a very good curveball.
That's the pitch I wish he would use more, and he has a tendency to do it a lot more with the left-handed batters, that curveball.
Oh, 1 pitch to Jacobs. Up the middle. Who's going to get it? Neither one. Took a funny hop. It just took off, and Miles and Belliard were both there, and neither one of them got it. Our Budweiser play of the game brought to you by Budweiser, and it's the Gary Bennett play way back in the 2nd on the missed squeeze bunt.
Running coming home, Gary Bennett did a tremendous job just to stop that ball and keep it from getting away from it so far outside. And it is also the play where he strained his lower back and knocked him out of this game, but he tagged the runner out home.
Strike one on Olivo. Miguel tonight been hit by a pitch. That's been the highlight of his night.
Now we have seen in this ball or this season too at times when Izzy's thrown more fastballs where he's got the velocity back up into the 93-mile-an-hour range.
There are guys that are effective with a little moving 93, 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Absolutely. There are guys who are effective with 89 if you spot it.
Good pitch there, 90-mile-an-hour delivery that dropped down and away to Olivo, 1-2.
Pitch on the corners, you can pitch with a lot less velocity.
Well, I mean, you think of two guys that come to mind, Trevor Hoffman, who's a changeup artist, one of the best closers of all time. Even Doug Jones, who had a career as long as his mustache.
Yeah.
Who was a changeup guy, too.
Franco, this left-hander with the most saves. Not a, he's kind of a dead fish type guy. Tug McGraw had a screwball. Mike Marshall had a forkball.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Levo, a weak swing and a pop-up for Pujols. Be careful, Albert. 2 out.
Getting Bruce Sutter in his split finger fastball.
That's a pitch I wonder if Isringhausen will ever play around with. The splitter.
It's different now. The way he, they threw it and shoved it back in further into the web of your fingers, and to kill the velocity. Where guys, a true split finger fastball like Jack Morris had was out more on the fingertips.
Isringhausen trying to give an uneventful 9th inning. He has Cody Ross standing in his way. Ross is batting for the pitcher, Pinto. The pinch hitter overall hitting .228, 8 homers, 32 RBIs.
Started last night's game in right field. One Dodgers lead over Cincinnati. Reds batting in the 6th.
Should end it. Aaron Miles, nice job tonight by the Cardinals, down 5-1. And then he came roaring back with some of their best offensive efforts of the season. 13-6 is the final. We'll come back and wrap up this night after this. Tonight, I told you that the Cardinals are going to win this game 13-6. What kind of odds would you have given me? You have to be exact.
20-1.
Okay. Well, they did. I win the bet. 13-6 is the final, as the Cardinals early were down 5-1 and then just took off. Cardinal Baseball is produced by Bud Productions and is an exclusive presentation of FSN Midwest. Next broadcast tomorrow night, finale of the series, rubber game. Dontrell Willis, Jeff Suppan on the air at 6:30 tonight. Midwest Sports Report is coming up immediately following the last word that I say, which is coming up right now.